work?
Thanks, Bill. That's all for now.
All right, anything else? All right, this is approval of the meeting minutes from September 7th.
The meeting minutes look swell. I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from September 7th.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve the meeting minutes from September 7th. Is there any further question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
All right.
Motion carries. All right. Assessors exonerations.
There wasn't any.
Wasn't any? Okay, I didn't think so. All right, so now you have 5 minutes to spare.
Someone's calling. That is what
I'll let you reach the commission.
I don't know who it is. I see who it is. It's quite good one. County Commission. I can't get the Sean real quick. Hang on, just. Here you go.
Hey, Carl. Good, buddy. How are you?
He has no idea where the meeting. We had 5 minutes.
Watching.
So, is it some land clearing?
Probably.
Yes, yes. Yep, the EDA is part of that project, yes.
It takes too much longer to tell. Do you know the Board of Commissioners? Okay, you're not.
So what I'll do, Carl, we're in the middle of the county commission meeting currently. I'll email Lynn Goodwin, our economic development director, and have her reach out to them to, I guess, dig into that.
I'm sorry. What did I got for? Just press the extension.
You can do them stroke these hairs.
Right. Okay, well, I'll reach out to Lynn and have her dig into it, and then we can go from there. All right, thanks, Carl. See you. Bye.
That's quick.
Taking care of Bill.
Next
time I'll do that.
All right, Sheriff, you have the floor, sir.
All right, good morning.
Oh.
Well, I'm sure you all received my email last week about offer, and just to recap, the vehicle ordered last October, 5 of the 6 came in. That's the F-150. It should be in any week now, so that was last year. Of course, you approved the 2. They called me last month. They're supposed to be in, I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago. They called me. They're supposed to be in next month. They made us an offer to take an extra one if we wanted to. And I had sent you an email about that, noting that the price increase for next year's cars is going to be at least $7,000. So I sent an email to Commission President, I believe all of you, and the county administrator, and that's why I'm here today. For that consideration.
Basically, consideration is we have a opportunity to buy a car this year rather than next year at a savings. And
$7,000.
I mean, it is what it is. I think
I mean,
it's a savings, and
Yeah.
if you have the money, which we do have money, in the bank right now, I don't know why you don't go ahead and at least do it. Even if that means you buy one next year, why not take the savings?
Yeah, I mean, that's a significant savings there. It's going to go up $7,000 to $10,000 in total. And we met with a Ford rep at the sheriff's conference with all this conversion to hybrids and electric and everything else. We know they're not going to get down.
You can learn more about that.
Yeah. But now it's going to work for law enforcement because we get halfway to Huntington on middle transport and have to spend the night to charge up.
No, I think.
And that's
I think-
when, whenever Sheriff emailed me about it, that was email back and said, if we take advantage of the savings this year, then maybe we only order one next year.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, could be very well be, well, it'll be good, once you get everything in place, to get an updated, like, inventory list.
I have that, I can submit that to you today.
Yeah, but I mean, with all the new stuff,
Oh,
once it all comes in,
sure.
because I think it should look pretty good. It should look pretty
Oh,
good,
yeah, it'll look real good.
because everything's gonna be kind of hidden, especially if you're saying the two that are coming, you can go ahead and get you the third.
Yeah, and that should
'Cause
allow
that's
me,
gonna be a big check.
yeah, that should allow me to repurpose another vehicle to civil processor, maybe even reserves, down the line. Also mentioning, and I believe, Mr. Younker's gonna take care of that. I think we did order, or we did approve for the
Well,
rating.
I just told Steph, we talked about it at the 911 advisory board, and if I was supposed to get it on the agenda today, I did not. So I dropped the ball on that, and I'll get it on the next agenda. We do need to order some radios for the new cars.
Right.
So,
Sooner than later.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one portable.
All right, I'll make a motion then to go ahead and approve the sheriff to purchase the third vehicle that's available to him at this current year's cost. That's all we really need. I don't have the cost in front of me, but I think it was in that email potentially.
Can we go ahead and incorporate the radios?
that's what I was gonna say, because technically it doesn't come out of our funding, it's funding with his radios. The only thing I offered to 911 advisory board was to kind of handle the sheriff's request for radios like we have done fire and EMS, that we would bring them to you and be the collection point, because we're the ones that deal with the radio guys.
Out of the, that would be coming out of the money that we appropriated,
The 50,000.
the 50,000 to.
My only question will be, and I think you guys have answered it before, but I guess you're gonna have to answer it again because I don't remember the answer. What happens to the radios and the vehicles that we decommission? Morning, sir.
The ones that we have been decommissioning were the.
Just older?
The Kenwoods.
It's getting more than Kenwood's
Will we get to a point ever where
Oh,
there's
we're-
something we can take out of a car that we're decommissioning?
Yes.
I mean, will that ever happen?
Yeah, I mean,
It
it
should
should
be
probably
fairly
happen in the
close.
next couple of years.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
because
that's
the
just what we're
sheriff's-
doing right now, just kind of catching up with the
It will
Kenwoods.
Kenwoods.
Yeah, the sheriff, so that it should be the only vehicles left that have Kenwoods, so within the next cycle or two of vehicles. Radios.
Is your request to add that radio for the third one, or for all three?
Well, we already got the one from last year. We
Okay.
bought that. It's supply.
Yeah,
Three for the three additions and one portable because our deputy link, we didn't get the updated portable because we only had enough to do with what we had then.
And you said that's going to come out of the fund, that,
The county commission established.
And
you have to know what line it is?
It's a probably 424, 459, or what equipment, whatever the equipment line, I don't have my budget for it. I think it's 424, 459.
All right.
Yeah.
I think we'll do separate motions because they're going to come out two separate funding sources. Obviously, the vehicles, honestly, there's just no line item for the vehicles, so that in theory comes out carryover, although we're gonna need to assign it to some pot that has carryover in it.
Coal Severance has got 157,000.
Which one is it?
Coal Severance.
Well, we'll obviously pay for what we can out of coal severance, and then whatever's left.
I looked at the budget yesterday, it's 150,000.
Yeah, I mean, Sean was mentioning that it is going up. I mean, it's been up the last few quarters, and who knows with this energy issue that we have worldwide, globally, it could stay up for a while. I mean, that's always helpful.
Oh, yeah.
West Virginia coal is going for metallurgical coal is going all over the world right now. It's the last I read, it was the highest price for coal that it's been in 10 or 20 years. So I think our coal severance is going to be up at least for the foreseeable future. Not up what it was 30 years ago, but it's going to be up. So maybe that'll be a little bit of a blessing.
Need our coal to build batteries.
Yeah.
Well, then I'll just keep the original motion. That's to authorize the sheriff to purchase a third vehicle, and that will, those vehicles will come out of coal severance first, and then carry over second. And I think we'll do these separate.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to authorize the sheriff to purchase the third vehicle at last year's cost. Be paid for at coal severance first, and then once that's exhausted, it'll come out of carryover. Is there any further question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Motion carries.
And just as a point of order on that contract price on the three coming from Ohio, they were $43,488 each, equipped with everything with the exception of the radio.
For $3,398.
Those are $43,488.
488.
And the one that we purchased last year, hadn't came yet, was $40,432.
That was a truck.
I'll make a motion to add the radio count that you came up with, Joel.
I think it's 3 plus portable.
Yeah, so this makes no sense to have it vehicle done that.
Be paid for at $424,459.
Correct.
That's correct.
All right, we have motion on the floor to authorize the purchase of 3 mobile radios and 1 portable radio for the sheriff's office to be paid for at $424,459. Is there any further question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Yeah, Ford actually went on the record officially yesterday, and that's why I don't know if anybody paid attention to Ford stock yesterday. They got hammered because, and it's not just Ford, it's GM, but their costs are way up. They spent an extra $1 billion on supplies to manufacture their vehicles so far this year, and they're 40,000 units short of their goal. So for us to be able to get, for Ohio to be able to be willing to sell us one, I mean, the car market's going to get tight.
Ohio has about 2,000 a year.
It's already tight,
Yeah.
but it's just gonna get worse on it.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. I
Yeah,
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
You're gonna order the radios for me.
Yeah, I forwarded you guys the quote for the radios. I did not have the quote for the portable. We discussed that after that.
Okay. Thanks, sir. Mr. Hoover, we're 4 minutes early, but
That's okay.
you're here.
We'll get it done 4 minutes early.
Good deal. Whenever we shoot you dinner.
Yeah. 2 things. The first is mutual aid agreement with the 167th Airlift Wing, and this covers the fire department. I was asked by the Emergency Association, which is volunteer fire departments, to assist with some mutual aid agreements and kind of cleaning things up. What we decided to do was more of a blanket agreement with all the fire departments, the commission, my office, all signing the same mutual aid agreement, so we're all included in it. Kind of just cleans things up a little bit, so that's the first one. I do have the original here that I'd like you to sign.
Okay.
If you pass it, and then I'm still tracking down 2 of the volunteer fire chiefs for their signatures.
So we have an extra minute or 2, Jason, you go ahead and just tell us briefly what's in the mutual aid agreement with the Airlift Wing?
The mutual aid agreement, it's pretty standard across emergency services. Basically gives us the right to have them dispatched to assist the fire departments in the area. Kind of covers, it goes over the liabilities of each party. That's kind of set code, which, and what those are. It kind of releases liability from one department to the other. Costs, there's no cost associated with it. So it just formalizes the agreement that should have been in place that wasn't in place. So,
Sure.
Yeah, and again, since we have an extra minute, I do, as a commissioner, Joel, I know you've been involved in a few mutual aid agreements. For myself and Bill, we really haven't been involved with any. I've helped resolve an issue with Allegheny County. At least I think that's, for the most part, back on track now. I do think it would be beneficial for us to revisit all of those mutual aid agreements to make sure each county, Allegheny County, Washington County, Berkeley County, Jefferson County, make sure they all, understand whenever, and that goes for EMS too, I believe. I think we should do. So.
yeah, that is the idea, and to do more of a blanket agreement, county to county, that kind of covers all the entities within the county as far as fire and EMS, and that's getting to be more and more standard
I
across.
think it makes sense rather than having a different agreement for every.
This would happen to be the one that came across first, that I kind of thought it would be more difficult because you're dealing with the military and federal government, but it actually went very, very quickly.
Okay.
So, so that's it. The other ones I kind of plan to maybe bundle together and get those done at one time instead of taking up all of your time in different meetings.
Yeah, good work. All right, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to authorize the county commission president to enter into this mutual aid agreement with the Department of the Air Force.
So move.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to authorize the county commission president to enter into this mutual aid agreement with the Department of Air Force, Hangar 167th Airlift Wing, Martinsburg, West Virginia. Is there any further question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thanks, sir.
Okay, next item.
All right, next up.
In the past, there were volunteers that worked out of the Office of Emergency Services. Those volunteers had no directions or procedures to abide by. What this is a set of standard operating procedures that spells out, number one, what their qualifications must be, formalizes the application process, background checks, and the training requirements that they must have. It also spells out what their duties would be and how they can be used on an emergency scene or by this office. That would be.
Does it go over radio procedures?
Yes, yeah, that's all. It's spelled out in there. It also spells out some grievance procedures if there's a department or an individual that feels that, somebody broke the rules, and then how that process would work, removal from the volunteer program, if that would be the case. So, and with the other standard operating procedures, I would like them passed, so they'd be formalized by the commission.
Okay.
Does this eliminate anybody currently volunteering?
No, it does not. It does add some requirements and some training requirements is the biggest thing. And, so that's it. There's no elimination. Just, hey, if you volunteer out of the Office of Emergency Services, you are required by West Virginia to have a certain amount of training. So this, formalizes that.
Yeah.
At a county level.
All right, so I think we need two separate motions. One will approve the standard operating procedures, and then two, we can approve the volunteers, which are on page 9. This time, I entertain a motion to approve the Morgan County Office of Emergency Services, EMV, standard operating procedures.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the standard operating procedures with Morgan County Office of Emergency Services. Is there any further question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So that'll be their review.
Motion carries. This time we entertain a motion to approve the volunteers, Alan Truex Central, Dan Unger Central, Brian Michaels South, Tom Covey West.
I'll make a motion to approve this volunteers.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the volunteers as mentioned. Is there any further question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries. Do you have the originals of both of those? You want me to sign them now? I can sign them after the meeting, that's fine.
Yeah. She has them, I'll get them back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
That might be tomorrow.
That's fine.
Mr. Unger, we're gonna keep on rolling.
Your choice, the location issue probably would be executive session.
Okay.
I was thinking about that. I don't know why.
Okay.
Because I don't even think you don't need to mention the person.
Okay.
Let's talk about in general.
Yeah, depending on, you gentlemen actually hopefully fix the problem for everybody moving forward. As you're aware, we have an issue, we've been short-staffed. We can't pay anybody additional overtime money to burn vacation time once they're over 40 hours, and just about our entire staff is working between 56 and 68 hours a week, so if they take a day off to try to use vacation, they're not using vacation. We have one individual that's considerably over and has been. We were here in July and extended it to try.
Wait a second, let's back up. I don't know if I agree with that statement.
What's that?
That would be the only way I think you could actually pay out their vacation, is if they work over 40 hours and they take a vacation day, they still are paid for their vacation day and you can pay them the hours worked. That'd be the only legal way, I think, to pay them for their vacation.
We've never been allowed to do that.
Why?
We were told we can't. 40 hours is the max we can pay. If they can't use sick leave if they're over 40 hours, they can't use
Incorrect.
vacation if they're over
That's
40 hours.
incorrect. if they work 40 hours and they take off a day, so if there's 48 hours,
I'm
you
not.
still don't pay overtime for that 8 hours because you only pay overtime for hours worked over 40. So they can take off 2 days and they're at 56 hours, but they only worked physically 40 hours. So there is no overtime for those other 16 hours. You still pay them for that. I'm just saying, I mean, if that's what we've
I
been
don't
doing.
necessarily disagree with you, but I've been told that's what the policy is.
Just kidding.
Huh?
I said, I'm glad you don't, because that's the law.
Yeah, I think that's the way.
Well, I can tell you that we would get time sheets kicked back. If
Well-
there's vacation time on and they were over 40 hours for the week.
So I think there needs to be some
Well-
clarification.
Okay, so let's just tackle that later, because that's an issue that's just something, it's just an educational thing. But basically, that is the way it is. It's physical hours worked. So if they only work 40, and I guess it's just it just seems bizarre on the surface, because you're like, well, but if they're working, say they work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they take off Thursday, and then you have to have them work Saturday. They still work 40 hours. They can take that vacation day. You can put 48 hours of pay on their check, but there's no overtime because they are only physically worked their 40 hours. I'm just telling you, that's the way it is. But this other issue, I think, for a couple of reasons, I think we need to, and I don't want to use the term kick the can, but I do think we ought to maybe consider extending it again, because there's a chance that the state, when they reconvene and look into this new retirement system that they've allowed the 911 folks to get into, that they may retroactively let the folks that were prior to July 1st this year into it, or whatever it was, October, whatever it is. And if that's the case, then they may be able to just keep their vacation time and use it toward their retirement.
Correct.
So I don't see any reason to make any rash decision on what to do. And I really don't want to get into the situation, precedence of paying someone out their vacation. I mean, it's just not one, I just don't want to do it until it's the absolute last thing that's possible to do. And we're getting to a point where it's been kicked far enough that something's got to give at some point, but I feel like we got two things working in our favor. One, that we could do that, see what the legislature might do to change their rule on that, and two, that vacation.
I apologize if it wasn't explained in July. What was going on, but since I've been here, we've gotten time sheets kicked back.
Yeah, well, I think, again, it's just a matter of,
40 hours.
yeah, it's just I understand, that's all fine. So I think your request is to take an action at least on that, at least one particular person. When it's one person's, it's really everybody's in your department.
There's
So-
one that's really affecting right now.
Sure. Well, for now, I think I'll make a motion, because I hate to keep bringing you back in, but I feel like, at least if you do, we keep it in front of us.
I can't speak for that individual, but for me, what you're doing is more favorable than paying it out, because provided we do what legislation thinks they're gonna do, it improves their retirement abilities.
Yeah, well, I'll make a
To me,
motion
it's
then
effective,
to
but
extend the cutoff date for having to use your vacation or lose it for the 911 employees to December 31st, 2022.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to change the date from October for the extension deadline to use vacation time December 31st, 2022 for 911 center employees. Is there any further question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries.
That's really the one thing I find odd about the state's position is that I was talking to Steph about this, they, in essence, are, even with new people that are allowed into that system, they're still, it's not a system where everybody's playing under the same rules, because each county still has its own rules on vacation carryover.
Yes.
But I mean, I guess, or maybe even vacation allotment, like we might say, we're gonna give 20 hours vacation a week. I mean, not a week, a month.
Yeah.
Which would be higher maybe than someone says, no, we're giving 8 a month. But that's all totally up to each individual county. But then at the end of the year, if they have it, didn't use it, they can keep it and put it in that retirement system. So it costs the state money at some point if they're in that retirement. I mean, yes.
It is weird.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow standardize
It
it.
has to be.
I don't know how they can keep, I don't know how they can do
I come from other jurisdictions, so the strange thing to me is, where I came from, time is time. It didn't matter if I was present, I used sick time, or I used vacation time, it all included in my hours.
it. PTO,
It all included in my hours. So if I took 40 hours of vacation and worked 40 hours that week, I got 40 hours overtime. Everything counted toward overtime. It didn't matter what the hour, everything went into, it
I
was
think-
total hours work and anything over was time and a half.
So, I mean, I think when it comes to those standards, a state can do that. I think they're allowed to pay you the overtime, but they're not mandated by feds to pay you the overtime for it. But if they chose to do it, that's good.
That's just a legislature, but it's different county, different states.
Sure.
Stick with more money.
All right, so that'll at least, again, I don't like to just try to kick the can down the road, but I think we
Like I
just
said,
need to
I
wait
will
and
speak
see.
for that individual, for me personally, I think that's a better answer than even paying it out, because at least for me, going for a better return.
Well, I still think there's certainly scenarios where you could move forward, where if someone's scheduled to work and they take off a day, legitimately, they take off a day, we're like, hey, my dog's got such and such. And then Saturday or Sunday, you're like, oh
We've
man,
already done that.
people called off, we don't have anybody, and they come in, they have taken their vacation, and they are still working their hours up to 40. They can physically work up to 40, even if they took off 3 days that week. So, I mean, I'm just saying,
Well,
we'll
long as we're
talk
doing that
to
moving forward,
Charity and make sure she understands that, because it was probably done prior, I'm sure it was done prior, I guess it is. But she just doesn't know that I didn't do it through.
I'm not, that's all water that's long gone.
Yeah,
We just-
yeah, there's nothing you can do about that right now. You can only fix the current pay period. I mean, you can't go back and change them, I don't think. It'd be a.
Right, request for floor repair. This one frustrates me, by the way. I'm sure it frustrates everybody, but
This was on the agenda, or on the original budget that was proposed way back in the beginning of the year, by Director Mason that had addressed it. I believe it was Commissioner Tuttle, I'm not gonna, I should say that, say, look, because of what's going on in this part of the building, take it out and come back to us whenever you're ready for it, so here I am. Facilities Director Stotler had reached out to the provider of the tile, I believe it was Home Depot, and probably actually talked to the actual vendor Home Depot dealt with it. It was supposed to be a lifetime warranty, however, only if you use one of their licensed installers. Obviously, in the interest of saving money, we should use our maintenance staff. So they have no interest in replacing the tile that's on part under the warranty. That all is from Facilities Director Stotler. So here you are with a floor that is less than 2 years old.
My only issue with that is, it's one thing if it's coming apart, that could be an installer issue. If it's falling apart, it's different than coming apart. Coming apart's where you might have installed it wrong. Literally tiles breaking, like, I don't know, it doesn't seem like it could be
So
seems to me like it's a manufacturer issue, but I don't know if that's ever wrong.
mainly my reason for getting on the agenda today is how do you want me, what do you want me to do procedurally wise moving forward? We're gonna let Randy get quotes. It would be my suggestion, because of what we learned from this one, that we probably don't use our own folks again, or get anything that has a warranty, so we don't end up in the same situation again.
yeah,
Originally, I thought about proposing doing an epoxy floor, that's just not feasible, because we've got to stay operational, and with the fumes and everything that has to be done, that's not possible. We're gonna have to do something like a tile or something.
Hindsight, I think that's what we do anyway. So, and when, just so we're clear, when we're talking about the floor, what area are we talking about?
The dispatch floor itself, the bathroom itself started to come apart. They got part of the way through the process, and apparently the tile that's on the dispatch floor was discontinued for issues. We use there's a different floor on the opposite side of the hall. I talked with Nelson, he seems to think that the floor that's on the opposite side of the hall wouldn't have done what ours did. Because of the way the locking edges work.
They ask, why is the tile in the bathroom falling apart? Because I understand in the dispatch room,
The seams
you're rolling on
It's
it,
not
and that's the causing issue.
having Alex, Nelson. It's locking, and the other floor is interlocking. So when it locks, if you step on it and the floor below, it's not completely level, it just comes unlocked. And then there's, the surface is level. So your shoe catches or whatever, you break the top. If you walk across the floor, it unlocks, because it's not interlocked. If I understand
makes sense.
correctly.
That makes sense to you. I always thought you leveled the floor before you put that stuff down.
Well, that's the only thing that doesn't make sense, yeah.
Yeah, sadly, one thing you have to remember is that was the post office warehouse floor, so it is not level.
All right. So you're asking for marching orders?
I mean, I
Give me the
don't,
direction you want me to go, and I'll get, you want me to let Randy handle it, I'll handle it.
yeah, I don't see any problem with letting Randy get some get
I
some.
mean, I think,
get
you don't have
quotes.
time, and that's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't see a problem with Randy getting some quotes. And
I wanna bring Suzie, I know he's-
action officially today.
Yeah,
so.
nah, but he's on a mission trip, I'll get with him as soon as he gets back and we'll discuss it. Because one of the big hurdles is we have to stay operational while it's being replaced.
Choice of little. Yeah, it's like you do half and move across or something.
And it has to be anti-static.
Yeah, and the anti-static's the other thing. And Moog was pretty insistent on that. There's a lot of equipment in there that static could really hem up.
Because I had asked why we couldn't put some type of a cover right on top of the floor. I mean, defeats the purpose, but you know, how people have things underneath the rolling chairs in their office,
Yep.
something like that, but if that's a static issue.
Well, we
then
discussed
maybe
that.
we can't.
Part of it is we roll to the center of the floor, roll to a copier, and then you can't get back up on the level.
I think cover the whole thing, not just each thing. We put one big giant, almost like a
Laminate.
carpet, but it's not a carpet, obviously. Something that's, I mean, I don't know if they make something like that or not. I think that they might, but who
I'm
knows?
sure they do.
The thing is, to get that big, it wouldn't be able to be hard because you have to roll. And if it's rolled, it's not gonna be hard. It's gonna be soft. And I just don't know that the floor would quite, I don't know that the wheels will roll right. I mean, it's just something we're just gonna have to spend a little time and effort.
I'll work
trying to
with you,
figure it out.
Okay,
And we'll
thanks.
see you again.
Request to purchase stamps. Do we do here for that, or is that just for us?
It's in here.
I'll make a motion to put registration.
Yeah, so we have a motion on the floor to purchase the stamps. It's for the circuit clerk's office. They're requesting 3,000 stamps to be used. They will be mailing out 4,000 juror questionnaires. And enclosed in each will be a pre-stamped envelope to prospective jurors. So this time we have a motion on the floor to approve that request. Is there any further question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. All right. We can just keep on trucking right along, I guess. All right. Joel? Yeah, we'll have a break, 14:45. All right, Joel, this looks like,
Well, it only is something for me because Mark sent it to me, but, I mean, it didn't slip through the cracks because I didn't get this till August. And of course, we approved that hotel motel budget in, I guess, June or July, whatever we typically do. But it was told, I remember an email that we all got from Mark when he was, I might not even be right about that, but when he sent this thing, he said, hey, besides the fact that we think that we're looking good for EDA, because I can't remember when EDA became a real thing. Do you remember?
It was in the process, but almost at the
It's in the
same.
process, but we'd already gotten that call that said they thought it was gonna happen. We just hadn't gotten official.
Yeah.
But he said, hey, the other good news is we went ahead and got approved for another, was it RTP?
That one came before the EDA grant.
Officially.
Yeah.
But I think unofficially it hadn't, because I was at my grandmother's funeral, which was May, June, I thought. And unofficially, we were told we thought that was gonna happen. And this, he sent in August. But anyway, RTP grant, great grant, it's for 200,000, and it's 250,000 total, 50,000, that's a match. So it's 80-20 grant. And they are requesting $25,000 in match from the Cape State Park Foundation, and $25,000 in match from the hotel motel funds for the 50,000. And I think this is at least the third of these that they've received. And this specifically is for to build. Oh no, the one that they got in 2022 was to build Thunderstruck. That's the one that goes from the top straight down the mountain. And then this one is for a 3-mile trail, an intermediate level trail. And it will connect, I had it somewhere, but I don't see where it's at in there. It's gonna connect some trails, but it's gonna be 3+ miles. Doesn't matter about the specifics.
But
Anyway.
anyway, a match for a $200,000.
It is match,
So-
half of the match for a $200,000 grant from Hotel Motel, which does look healthy, so. And will very, very likely be more than 25,000 more than what we had budgeted this year, so. Plus, we had some carryover anyway, so I don't see, I mean, that's my opinion, but I don't see any reason why we wouldn't want to go ahead and support this match.
Technically for the foundation.
Technically, yes, technically the foundation is the receiver of this grant, so I'll make a motion to approve a award to the Cape State Park Foundation, $25,000, hotel motel to use as match for the 2023 RTP grant.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the $25,000 match to the Cape State Park Foundation for their $200,000 grant. Is there any further question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries.
Just jump down here and finish this thing out here. And then we'll take whatever time we need till.
All right. Administrator's report.
Okay, so we have for you a request to hire an IT specialist. We had about 8 applications. We interviewed 3 different individuals, and we have selected Tyler Jones to fill the vacancy that we have in our IT department for the IT specialist. And we would like to request permission to hire him at an annual salary of $42,000 with benefits, effective Wednesday, September the 28th, conditioned upon a successful background investigation.
One thing it doesn't mention here, Stephanie, should I assume that this will be a 40-hour?
Yes.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the hire of Tyler Jones in the IT specialist position, effective September 28th, for a 40-hour employee at $42,000.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to authorize the hire pending the background investigation of Tyler Jones, the full-time IT specialist at an annual salary of $42,000 a year with benefits effective Wednesday, September 28th, 2022, as a 40-hour employee. Is there any further question or discussion?
Virtually the same as, the same money that we use for Sean.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, but it's the same
Same pot.
big lot.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
all I
yeah,
need.
yeah.
28.
That's all I need. It's not another.
No, it's a vacancy.
Yeah, he's just,
Got it. Thank you.
Any additional question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
doesn't bring me joy
Stamp
to
sound.
wait until everyone says aye and then hit that. It did me too.
All right.
It's a feeling that everyone gets the book at the door.
It just brings you joy, I move on.
This time I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve consent agenda.
Your motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. All right, so we can go into recess, we think.
Yeah, just pause it.
So we're gonna go into recess, folks. The next item on the agenda, I'm gonna stick to the 10:45 start time. So at this time, we're gonna go into recess and we will reconvene at 10:45.
Are we late?